business so I can cut out all the fluff and save you time. You see, I've got an issue with most business books. They have some great concepts that anyone can learn from, but they're buried under so much filler content that it takes ages to get to the gold. So as a millionaire businessman myself, I wondered if I could use my knowledge to cut through all the waffle. That's why over the last 3 months, I've made it my mission to read all these books and note down the key points that will actually make you rich. So I've divided them into 4 categories: how to start with no money, how to sell anything to anyone, how to market your business, and how to manage your money like the 1%. Now you may think some of these categories may not appeal to you, but trust me, put them together and they could make you a force to be reckoned with in the business world. Let's get on to the first section. So how to start with no money has got to be one of the most Googled questions ever. So let's dive into it. Step 1 is to find your strengths. This seems pretty obvious. However, society has conditioned us to actually focus on improving our weaknesses rather than doubling down on our strengths. But the reality is, you can be 10 times more successful if you focus on following the path of least resistance. In other words, the stuff you're already good at. Strength Finder 2.0 says your strengths come down to a simple equation. Talent times investment equals strength. Let's use golf as an example. I enjoy playing at my local club. Although I'm not bad, I'm far from great. Suppose you took both Tiger Woods and me at the age of 13 and gave us the same amount of coaching and practice. I'm willing to bet that every hour he practiced would equate to about 10 of mine. This is because his inherent talent for the sport is significantly higher, giving him a larger multiplier. That's why this book is so great, as it helps you find your most powerful multiplier, so you can make more progress than others in a shorter amount of time. Once you start thinking of weaknesses as an expense you need to minimize, your time will become so much more effective. You can always find people who can make up for your weaknesses. How to win friends and influence people gives some great networking techniques you can try out. So before we move on, ask yourself this: have you been trying to become successful through fixing your weaknesses or through developing and employing your innate strengths? Step 2, come up with an idea. Now that you understand the importance of playing to your strengths, it's equally as important to choose a business idea where you have an advantage. This is because every company that goes belly up has one thing in common: they couldn't outrun the competition. 0 to 1 was written by Peter Thiel, the man who sold PayPal to eBay for $1.5 billion. What's even more impressive is that his original team, who received his personal mentorship, went on to establish companies like YouTube and LinkedIn. Given the number of successful businesses he's influenced, it's clear that he's mastered the secret of generating billion-dollar ideas. He says that billion-dollar business ideas come from betting on a contrarian truth. This is a real truth about how people will act in the future that they aren't aware of or don't want to admit. Steve Jobs believed that we didn't want a keypad on our phone. Very few people agree with him, especially as BlackBerry was the most popular phone at the time, and that thing was literally riddled with buttons. I bet you guys don't even remember BlackBerries. But he believed in his vision and was rewarded after releasing the iPhone and changing the world forever. This isn't an isolated example. Uber believed that we would feel comfortable getting into a stranger's car, and Netflix believed we would want to binge watch TV shows. If you're struggling to come up with a contrarian truth, then give Start With Why a read, as it will get you thinking in the right kind of way. Perhaps you're not aiming to start a billion-dollar business, but consider the things you believe can be improved by adopting a slightly different approach. People will probably think you're crazy at first, but that's okay. Going against the grain lets you carve out a massive advantage before anyone else even notices what you're up to. This means you won't have to worry about competition for a very long time. Step 3 is create a plan. Now you know what you're good at and you've got your idea, you need to get very clear on how your business is going to be structured. Otherwise, you're just going to be running around like a headless chicken, not knowing where to focus your attention. Business model generation is a collective effort from 470 entrepreneurs, professors, and CEOs across 45 different countries. They were able to break down any business model into the essential 9 building blocks that make up any business. They believe that many business plans are overloaded with text and that using visuals can be much more powerful. Let's do it together so you can see how it's done. Rather than boring you with the cliche lemonade stand example, which Let's be real, no one's actually going to do that. I'm going to outline a business that I reckon could be a real winner right now. Let's call it Timmy's Membership Builders. Firstly, Timmy loves watching educational YouTubers, but gets frustrated because lots of the advice is generic and doesn't really apply to him. So Timmy decides this is what he wants to change. He wants to create a way YouTubers can interact with viewers on a more personal level by building their membership platforms. This is Timmy's value proposition. Next, Timmy needs to identify his customers. Assuming that approximately 0.1% of YouTube subscribers will want to join a membership, he should collaborate with YouTubers who have million subscribers. This strategy will generate enough value to justify his business venture. Now Timmy needs to figure out what channels he can use to reach his customers. He might choose email, DMs, or even physical letters. You're probably thinking, if a YouTuber has over 1 million subscribers, then they're going to be pretty hard to reach. But I can tell you from experience, if you have a good value proposition, then someone on their team will see your message. We aren't as unreachable as you might think. Building customer relationships is the hardest part. That's why Timmy may have to start off working for free to build up some case studies and then offer his first clients discounts for referring him to their friends. Focus less on what you can gain and more on what you can give, as this forms stronger relationships. If you're struggling, then you can always read give and take. Now consider revenue streams. Timmy could choose to charge a percentage of revenue for managing memberships, freeing up the YouTuber to concentrate on producing videos. If Timmy took a 10% cut from a membership of 10,000 people, each paying $5 a month, it would amount to $5,000 of monthly revenue. As the membership grows, this figure will increase. Now Timmy needs to work out what he needs to make this all happen. These include his key resources like a website, key activities such as advertising, and then key partnerships, which may include working closely with a developer. Finally, Timmy needs to calculate his costs. If he can do this business for less than what he expects to earn, then he's on the right track. If not, this evaluation will save him from disappointment in the future. That brings us to step 4, building a minimum viable product. The harsh truth is many entrepreneurs put their head down and work for months on a product, but don't realize that they're building something that no one actually wants to buy. The lean startup suggests that instead of working super hard to create the most polished product, you should create something called a minimum viable product, or MVP. What's great about this is that it doesn't actually have to cost you any money. The founder of Dropbox made a short video showing how his file storage solution worked and managed to increase his waiting list from 5,000 to 75,000 people in the space of a couple of days. The amazing thing about this story is that the video was fake. The product didn't even actually exist yet, but he was then able to use the waiting list to convince investors that it was a good idea, and then he was able to make it into a reality. There are so many ways that you can make a free MVP nowadays, especially with the help of AI. If you want some inspiration, then the ChatGPT Millionaire is a great little read. You could use your MVP to appeal to investors, launch a Kickstarter campaign, find a business partner, or bootstrap by reinvesting the profits back into building your business. The crucial point to keep in mind is that if you're starting with no money and looking for any kind of funding, you must provide undeniable proof of product demand. Step 5. Execute your vision. Now, having a plan, an idea, and an MVP isn't that precious. Lots of people make it to this stage, but what really matters is the execution. The crazy thing is, most people have the capacity to double or triple their income by consistently applying what they already know. The issue is, people don't put in the work. The 12-week year proposes a new way to get more done in 12 weeks than 12 months. It suggests that we should break our year into 4 and think of those quarters as our year. This may sound silly as it's still the same amount of time. However, this way of thinking forces you to confront your results every 3 months. I don't know about you, but personally, when I've got a deadline, I work a lot harder. My businesses have a different buzz around the office when we're nearing the end of the year. So by using this approach, instead of having that buzz of motivation once, we can have it 4 times a year. As Parkinson's law states, work expands to fit the amount of time we allocate to it. Therefore, applying the 12-week year approach, we can actually achieve more and make significant progress towards building the business you want. However, this 12-week approach only works if you respect your deadlines. If you're the type of person who battles with procrastination, then Extreme Ownership is worth a read. It's packed with Navy SEAL tactics to whip your discipline into shape. Can you handle the truth? You
can't handle the truth.
Quick one from me before we get into the next section, and forgive my voice. I'm filming this a few days after, as I've been quite ill. One of the best ways to start an online business nowadays is to turn your skills, passions, and experiences into online courses, exclusive membership sites, subscription podcasts, thriving communities, personalized coaching, and more. These types of businesses are extremely cost effective to set up and run. They also have the upside of being extremely scalable. I know multiple people making millions using this business model, all from their laptop. If any of that sounds interesting, then Kajabi is the perfect tool for you. It's the ultimate all-in-one platform that helps people build successful online businesses by unlocking predictable recurring revenue. They're also sponsoring this portion of the video, but before you skip, if you're an entrepreneur, trust me, you want to listen to this. Recurring revenue is the holy grail in the business world. I mean, there's a reason why everything's turning into a subscription nowadays. If you know how much money's coming in every month, then it gives you the confidence you need to expand your business and eventually hire people without worrying too much about your cash flow. Kajabi is a great choice as they don't take a cut from your revenue because everything is owned and controlled by you, so you keep 100% of what you earn. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, then right now Kajabi is offering a free 30-day trial to start